the things that she's experienced, she's taken them to the next level. Please continue, Priscilla, with your story.
Um, yeah, Faye, it was my, you said I was surviving. I survived. Yes, I survived. But then I was on autopilot. It was just survive. It was just wake up, do what you need to, and just keep going through the day. And going to America, getting certified, and coming back meant a lot to me. But then I wanted to launch. I couldn't launch because I was empty in every area of my life. I was empty. My cup wasn't full. You can't pour from an empty cup, and my cup was running dry. There was not a little drop of water, nothing in it. So I couldn't. I just couldn't. How am I going to comfort others? How am I going to coach others? How am I going to be a balm of healing for others when I myself was
So
empty?
what did you do with this empty cup? Because you obviously turned it around. So what did you do with this empty cup?
I did nothing for a few years. I sat with my empty cup, wallowing in my pity, surviving, and just taking one day at a time. It's a miracle that I'm alive. It's a miracle that my daughter is alive. Um, my cup was running dry in every area. I just kept pushing myself, pushing myself, pushing myself. And like I said, the pressure in my pressure cooker was building and it was packing and it was packing. It was packing. And in 2017, what I had done is I had slowly transitioned from working in the intensive care to working online. I was doing telephone triaging. So that gave me a little more flexibility. It was my way of making up for the time I had lost. I had lost so much time being at home and not working. And when I felt a little stronger, and when the doctors had given me all clear to go back to ICU and work in it, I started putting in hours there, and then working from home. Telephone triaging gave me that time to spend with my daughter and be there for her. So, Faye, all my strength went into doing my shift. So I would work through the night, then I would send my daughter to school, I'd sleep for a few hours, then go back. And I ended up working not just 10 hours, I'd work 12 hours, 15 hours. And I was so desperate to make up the money that I'd lost. I mean, financially, I was empty. So I was caught up in that. But the pressure in my pressure cooker was building and building and building. One night, 3 a.m., I get a call. I mean, I've been taking calls from all my clients, and I don't know what happened, Faye. I know that the previous day I had an argument with my mom and dad, and the whole trauma was rehashed, what I had gone through, and I knew my mental status wasn't good. And until now, other than being on the painkillers, like I was on a lot of painkillers. There was a time when I was on patches, fentanyl patches, sleeping medications, anti-inflammatories, all the nerve medication and all of that for my chronic pain, but nothing helped. And you can imagine there was no thought about, okay, there might be a chance Priscilla is depressed. The professionals didn't think about it. Neither did I think about it, because I thought that is life. This is how you live. This is how you survive. This is how you push through. Being a single mom, taking care of a daughter, it didn't seem anything out of the blue that my sink was full of dishes and it would be in there for 2 or 3 days and there would be fungus on my. I'm sorry, I'm sharing gross things, but
No,
that
go
was my
for it.
life.
Well, I mean,
My
it's your real experience, and there's probably people out there listening to you thinking, this is me, or they know someone that's going through some of this sort of thing. And, depression and all those things are high, very high right now. And talking about this and being able to share your experience without shame
Yeah,
is absolutely wonderful, because I think people don't share their depression or share how they're feeling because they feel ashamed, they feel out of control, they feel that nobody cares, or they feel that if I say something, they're going to be judged, all those sorts of
yeah,
things. But when you're sharing this and saying, these, how you felt and how your cup was so empty, and because you were on a lot of medication for serious pain, surviving that, looking after a child, going to work 15 hours a day to, keep up the mortgage, to put food on the table, to help, feed your daughter and send her to school and do all these sorts of things. That's not easy in the first place, but when you're feeling like you were feeling, and then you were working, helping other people feel better about themselves, but you were still sitting in this place or this space of feeling there's something not right. What can I do about it? So, what did you do?
Well, I wish I did something. I ended up not doing anything about it. I let the pressure build. After that little tiff with my family, the next night when I went to work, I pushed through. 3 a.m., I receive a call from a client. I just remember it was 3 a.m. and it was another patient talking to me on the phone, and I'm advising them and I'm typing, and my telephone triage shift. I'm talking to him, my voice is shaking, and I'm typing, and I just glance on the screen to see what I'm typing. Guess what? It wasn't any of the symptoms my patient was talking to me about. It was my thoughts. It was what I was feeling because I felt numb. I felt scared. I felt cold. I felt like it wasn't worth it. And mm, when I looked at my screen, I lost it. I somehow completed the call, hung up, called my team leader, and I said, "Look, this is what's going on. I don't know what's going on. It's almost like I'm having a nervous breakdown, and I just need to go." She let me go. I don't think I slept that 3:30 or 4 o'clock. I don't think I slept. It was time for my daughter to go to school. I got her ready, put her on the bus, sent her to school. Again, I came back home and my mind is working overtime. I'm thinking, oh my God, what does this come to? I'm such a waste of a burden on earth. I'm not good enough. I was guilty of putting everyone through so much pain. And I started, self-deprecating myself. And I I felt like I was the cause for everything going downhill. I felt like my daughter would have a better life. My one of my sisters can take care of her, and had made all these plans. And the thought of suicide had occurred before, but it wasn't planned. It wasn't going to be a concrete thing. I had just pushed off, and I'd look at my daughter and say, she's the reason I'm alive. I'll live for her. And I'd push myself. But this day, there was no pushing myself, Faye. Again, I'd just like to let your listeners know, please take care of yourselves, because I'm going to be talking a lot about suicide and depression. That morning, after I sent my daughter to school, I made a concrete plan. I was going to go through it. Um, I'm not going to tell the details,
No.
but there was I was about to finish myself, and I heard this still small voice. I heard this still small voice inside of me saying, "Did I bring you through one misery, one trauma after the other, just for it to end this way? Did you come through life to give up? And what about the promise you made to your brother when you said you are going to take this vital skill and education about mental health and depression and suicide to others? You haven't done that. And now you're ready to give up and take yourself out from this world." And that was my wake up call. That was my wake up call.
Yeah. And thank goodness it was, because you spend a lot of time helping other people who are in trauma, who are in depression, who are thinking of, you know, things that they can, what's the purpose of me being here, all those sorts of things. Everybody has a purpose. Everybody has a purpose of being in this world. They just have to find it. And so, what you do, and we'll talk more about this, is that you help people find their purpose and you can talk from experience. So, therefore, it's when someone's talking and saying something, you can say, I understand. Whereas if someone was talking to me about a certain thing, I couldn't say I understand. I can empathize with them, but I can never understand those thoughts, those feelings, those emotions because I've never
Yeah.
experienced them. So you're in a space where you have experienced them, giving people the confidence to say, she understands me. She knows where I'm coming from. And that makes so much difference to helping somebody.
You're so right. And I, in a way, today when I look back, I'm thankful for my experience. So what happened is I took myself to my GP because I didn't want to call 000. I didn't want to go to the emergency. Everyone knows me, Faye, and we all face this. The place I live is a small town. I mean, it's a small city, but then when we got clients into the ICU and into hospital who were suicidal or who came, we would call them frequent flyers, and they'd share with us, the whole town knows about me, I'm so ashamed, there's so much stigma. And the same stigma impacted me too. I didn't want to go to the hospital, I didn't want to go to the emergency because everyone knew me, most of them knew me because I worked there, I was one of the staff. Reluctantly I went to my GP because I wanted, the wake up call was enough for me to say, I want to live. I decided I want to live. My GP then sends me to the emergency, anyways. And I go to the emergency. I'm there for 5 hours. And then they send me back. They ask me to get admitted. I say, no way. I cannot get admitted. Faye, I was alone. I was all alone. Me and my daughter. That's it. There was nobody around me. No family, no friends, nobody.
Mm. And you feel, there's a shame around it, as you say. And when you're known in a smaller place, a smaller city, or whatever it is, there is a shame, and people tend to judge, whether they want to or not. They
Yeah,
tend to judge, and you feel like you have all the eyes on you, watching you, and saying, "Well, what's she doing working here, or whatever? Why doesn't she go to the hospital and admit herself and do this, and this?" When they have no understanding of what you're going through and no right to judge.
yeah, yeah. But it's built in us
Oh,
to
it's human
judge.
nature. It's human
Yeah,
nature to judge. But what they're
yeah,
judging also is, when they're judging you, they're also judging something inside themselves that they don't like.
absolutely.
So, that shame, that judgment, let it go. There's a purpose for everyone in this world. And I, just want people to realize the magic and brilliance that everyone has inside them. And you knew the magic and brilliance you had inside you, but you were coping with different things, pain that was at a high extreme level. You were alone. You had, have a daughter that you were responsible for. You were responsible for having the income. No one else was going to provide for you. So you were doing all that. So you were on survival mode for a very, very long time. But you got through that because your purpose was a lot higher than that, which took you, after you'd realized, how long was it before you got better? How long was it before you could cope and realize that your purpose was to help other people heal?
Oh, that was a long process. My purpose became clear the day I wanted to out myself, day I wanted to take myself out. My purpose became solid, and I knew it was my anchor now. My purpose became my anchor. So I was in a lot of pain, and then my purpose was born through my pain, and there was no way I could oh, how do I say, morph into living that purpose, being the way I was. So now I had another incentive to get better. It was, yes, I want to live, I want to have a good life for myself, my daughter, but now the purpose that was born in me was an incentive for me to get better. So I took, I took, I took it really serious. I took it really serious, saw a psychiatrist, and in the process way, it was not just depression, PTSD. I also started hearing voices, and I, being a RN and knowing there's stigma around mental illness, depression, and all of that, yes, but then there's more stigma towards psychosis and hearing voices and all of that. And I felt, oh my God, it's like God has given me a package of all the mental illnesses and put it inside of me now. And what am I going to do? How are people going to perceive me? And am I going to get better? And how long do I have to be medicated? Because I was again put on a load of medications, because psychosis is a condition which needs medication. And I was on antidepressants, antipsychotics, I was on sleeping medications. So my journey began. And during this time, I also developed addiction to alcohol because now I wanted to sleep. I wanted to sleep, and nothing was helping me sleep. So now I was depending on alcohol. I was mixing the medication with the
Ooh,
alcohol, and it was, so I kind of had an insight into, substance use now, substance use or substance misuse. And slowly, I, my psychiatrist, thank God for him, he asked me, are you drinking any wine or are you taking any alcohol? And I just laughed it off and I said, only so much. And he said, no way you're going to do it. It started with one glass, it ended with a bottle at a time. And it was sometimes cheap Woolies, $5, $6, or $8 bottle, and I would just guzzle the whole bottle. And it was miserable. But then my purpose kept me going. And I said, no, what do I need to do? Slowly, as my symptoms started getting better, I asked myself, what do I need to do now? And it was about more than 2 years before I decided, okay, my doctor said, yes, do it. I wanted to become accredited in teaching mental health first aid. So I went and had my accreditation. And that's where my living in my purpose began. It was in my recovery journey. It wasn't when I was completely all right. It wasn't when I was fully healed. It was during the process of healing that I started taking baby steps.
and realizing that the experiences that you've had, you can help others.
Yes, because till now, um, if I had spoken, just like you mentioned earlier, you said if anybody came to you and talked about depression, you would empathize with them. But now I know what it means for someone to be suicidal. Because I've been at the end of that rope. I've been at the tip of that mountain waiting to take the plunge. I've been there. I've experienced pain at the highest heat. I know what it means to just give up. And I also know what it means to feel worthless.
But
And
you
when
also, yeah, sorry.
And when someone wants to die by suicide, it's not a decision that they've just come and arrived at easily. They have done that after thinking about what a worthless life they have, the amount of guilt they're carrying. They've looked at their problems, and the problems have mounted high and become so big. Now I don't see a solution. It's not that I want my life to end. It is, I want my problem to be solved. I want some kind of solution. I want an end to this suffering. It's never, I want to end my life.
I want help. Now, on that note, we've got to go to a break, but we'll be back.